I have compiled this list here of 20 indie games which have either done well and seen some success, or in some of these cases they're not actually released yet, like Screenbound over here and Teeto, but for various reasons I've seen they've done pretty well on social media, and I expect they're going to see some success. And what we're going to do in this video, which is unscripted, is just go through all of these games and try to figure out what are the common trends that are making these games successful. Why do these games succeed? Why do they get plays? Why do they get purchases when there are a lot of indie games out there that don't see that success? And that way, when indie developers such as you or myself want to look into making their next game, we're not just throwing darts blindly at a dartboard, but we're actually going in with some research behind it, and we can hopefully put together a game using features and trends from games that have already been successful. So basically, rather than reinventing the wheel, let's take a look at what has already worked for some developers and see if we can replicate some of those features into our own unique game with our own unique concept. Most of these games are small enough that they can be done by either like a single developer or a small team of developers. There's a couple of exceptions in here. One of them would be Cuphead, which is done by Studio MDHR. That is a big game, but if you know about Cuphead, it also has some very unique graphics, so I did include it in this list. Stardew Valley is huge, but it was also made by one person, so it's a little crazy to think of it. And then we have some others in here as well. But let's get right into it, and we'll just go down this list. We'll start with number 1 here, Pools. And by the way, I just kind of picked like 20 indie games that spoke to me that I liked for various reasons. Obviously, there's way more. We can make this list way bigger than 20, but whatever. These are the games that I chose. So let's take a look at this. This is a psychological horror game that actually kind of builds off of Escape the Backrooms, which is down here. So maybe I should be starting with that, but we'll start with Pools because I have it as number 1. And it actually says right here in the short description on Steam. I know I saw it here. Might have been in the long description, but it was basically saying that it was kind of inspired by Escape the Backrooms. If we take a look at the trailer, it's a very atmospheric game. No monsters chasing you or jumping out of the screen, but it can feel oppressive. Oh, here it is. Yeah, inspired by Backrooms right there. I mean, let's just look at this for a second. It's quite nice. Like, it definitely seems like something you might see in a nightmare. It looks beautiful. The graphics are just really nice. But even though it says there's no monsters, I could definitely feel like looking through this game, I would be just watching behind my back at all times because it definitely feels like something is about to jump out at you. Yeah, it's a really nice looking, creepy game, and honestly, I think it's just the atmosphere alone is what would do it. I know, again, I'm saying, looking at Escape the Backrooms, we're going to get into this one. This one's based off of a creepypasta. I don't think there's a creepypasta behind this, but it is kind of already building off the success of another game. So I'm going to go over here into sheet number 3, and we're going to start typing some column headers. So atmospheric is one of them, and then we can say builds off something popular, which is also true. Expand that in, and then we're just going to copy this over here, and we're going to paste it in, and we'll also make the row a little bigger so this get a little bigger too. That's number 1, Pools, and let's go on to number 2, which is Papers, Please. Open up the Steam page for it. Again, this is a really interesting game here. It's very pixel graphic-y. I had only heard about it recently, but it also is quite viral. Look at the number of reviews it has. 65,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews. Basically, you are a customs agent, and you're just deciding if people get into this fictional country or not. And this is the game. This is literally the game. You are just going through here. You're either allowing people entry or you're denying them. And from everything I've heard about it, like, oh, what's this guy gonna do? Oh, there's some violence in here too. but from everything I've heard about this game, it's all based on the story. It's all based on the decision making that you have to do. Like some of the comments I know I was reading before here. There was someone that was basically saying like it was one of the most stressful things that they had to do was playing through this game. It has multiple endings as well. Very easy to understand. Like, it's just one of these immersive games that has a great story behind it, great lore, and it also shows that the graphics don't have to be anything super crazy to be successful, but as long as they're cohesive. Like, this game has a very dystopian feel and vibe to it, and the graphics emulate that, the sound emulates that. This is all a trailer, so I've watched some of the footage on YouTube, and it sounds creepy. It sounds very dystopian. I don't think we're going to get that here on the Steam page, though. But definitely if we checked out some of the trailers, we would see that. Also, I forgot, I have this other column here, revenue and profit. This is based off of an online calculator that basically looks at the reviews a game has gotten, and it guesses at what the revenue and profit is. So if I just make the text color black here, we can see that Pools generated estimated $1.7 million of revenue on Steam. 500,000 is in profit. And then I just have some notes as well, which is basically what we talked about. Papers, Please. Estimated $50 million revenue. That's crazy. 14 million is take home. So after Steam fees and all that, that's the estimations. And yeah, the programming is probably nothing like too crazy or complex here. It's just all about the atmosphere. We're going to go here and we're going to start a new column and say, we have atmosphere, but we have like story, lore, and we're going to put Papers, Please into here. I think we could also say like immersion or making decisions. Like, it forces the player to make very tough decisions, so you really feel that pressure. I'm also going to put it here under atmospheric. Actually, maybe I should put this down a row. I think I'll just leave it as is because it has that atmosphere feel to it as well. Okay, next, Untitled Goose Game. Oh, I'm missing the Steam page link. There we go, I added it in. This game originally went viral like immediately after a GIF of it was posted. Like, people just saw that you're a goose and you're running around and you're causing havoc and you're causing chaos, and it was just such an interesting, unique concept that it just took off. I remember actually seeing that original GIF when it came out, and I was like, oh, I want to play this game. And yeah, I did. I have it on Switch. It's a super fun game. If you're unfamiliar with it, let's just take a look at the trailer. So this is it. Like, it's super, super cute. It's super chaotic. And you're playing as an animal, by the way, which is a trend I've noticed and we're going to see in a few of these games. But yeah, you have missions, you have stories to go on. It's single player. They added co-op mode later. I haven't done the co-op mode, but really should go back and try that out. But again, it's just this super fun, cute game. And you're just a chaotic goose. I mean, who doesn't want to play as a chaotic goose? It does have that sandbox feel to it as well, right? It's kind of like you have your quest, but you can also just go around and be a nuisance for the sake of being a nuisance because it's hilarious and fun. So yeah, we'll go back over to the spreadsheet and we will reveal, well, let's reveal the numbers first. So it had 18,000 reviews. It estimated that it did $23 million in revenue. This is only on Steam, so this doesn't count for other platforms. $7 million take home, and yeah, just the comments and notes that I had already put in there. So we'll bring this over to the next sheet, and we'll also add animal protagonist, which I actually think is really something that helps it stand out a lot. I think the art also really helps Untitled Goose Game stand out. And it is kind of interesting to say, I think if you took the exact same game, Untitled Goose Game, but you just removed that you were playing as a goose and say you were playing as like a disturbed human, maybe like a homeless person or something, and you're just going around causing this chaos, it wouldn't have the same appeal, right? It is the fact that you are an animal protagonist that really does make this game stand apart. Like the tasks, the gameplay, it is fun, but it is the fact that you're a goose doing it, which really makes it stand out. So as far as much as the game itself is fun and the quests are fun, it wouldn't have that same weight to it if you weren't playing as a goose. Maybe if you were playing as a duck, it would have the same. But I don't know. Geese, and especially Canadian geese, they really do have that evil sort of kooky vibe to them. So let's leave that in there for now, and we'll go on to the next game, which is Escape the Backrooms. Okay, so again, we're going to see this one is kind of similar to Pools, but it would be better to say that Pools is kind of similar to it. And this one, though, you are going to have scary monsters jumping out at you. And this is built off of a very popular creepypasta about the Backrooms. That is worth a video on its own. There's plenty of videos out there about it, so, and I'm not the most qualified to speak about it, but it is super, like, psychologically horror-filled. Oh yeah, you see that thing out of there? It was like signs, movie signs. The art, this is all about the atmosphere. This is all about that creepy vibe it has. I guess this would also kind of be like the story and the lore, because it is based on that creepypasta. But again, really, in this case here, it is building off of something that is already popular. And I think that's one of the main keys that we're seeing. Like, it's so advantageous if you can do that. So let's see. This one here generated an estimated $52 million, 15 million take home. And again, here's the notes that we have. And we're going to take this one. We're going to put this here under atmospheric. And it also builds off something popular. Yes, it does both of those things. So let's put Escape the Backrooms there. I'm just going to reorganize this a bit too. Okay, there we go. And I think, yeah, I could say because it is based on a creepypasta, which has its own very unique lore behind it, Escape the Backrooms would make sense if it goes under there as well. You know, assuming that it does play on all this lore. I haven't played it. I really like to play it, but I haven't played it myself. What I know about it, it would kind of make sense that it's based on that story and lore as well. Okay, going back over, next is Choo-Choo Charles. This is one game I just love to talk about, and I love using it as a case study. Because this is another game that was made by a single developer, Gavin. What's his last name? Gavin Eisenhower. Let me check. Gavin Eisenbies. I think that's it. His own studio, 2-Star Games. Yeah, there's a really interesting YouTube video interview with this developer. I've watched the whole thing through. It's very fascinating to hear about his story. I can link that in the video description. But yeah, it is a horror game where you are being chased by a spider train. You have to build up your own train and find scrap and give it upgrades, and it has this interesting story behind it. But again, it's the fact that it was made by one guy. It went super viral, and this is another case of a game that basically built off of something popular. There was a very viral video about horror Thomas the Train Engine. He took it, he ran with it, people loved it, and the game was an instant success. And like, it was made in Unreal. It looks okay, but graphically, like, one of the things that I've noticed and people have complained about is the characters that speak in this game. Like, their mouths don't move, which isn't normally something you would see in this era of gaming, you know? So you have that voice acting, but they're just static faces. So it is interesting to say that, like, okay, this was not the most perfect graphical game, but it didn't really matter, right? Because it went super viral, it stood out for its own reasons, and in that case here, this was enough. You know? So it had 14,000 reviews. We estimate that to have made Gavin $17 million. $5.2 million take home. I'm just gonna say, by the way, that the pricing that I was using was in Canadian dollars, so this is all Canadian revenue. So because that's what it shows for me on Steam, because I'm Canadian. So if you're looking for US dollars, these numbers would actually be a little bit lower, but yeah, it's still large amounts of money, obviously. There we go. Based off a viral video. So yeah, Choo-Choo Charles. Again, we're looking here into building off of something that's already popular. Um, I don't really think it has this. It's not story or lore in this case. I mean, he had his own story that he made for this game, but Choo-Choo Charles itself wasn't inherently popular because of any existing story. It really just was. It builds off of something popular, and I feel like that is the main reason that this game in particular stood out. I could say maybe atmospheric, but I think it is just building off something popular that was solely responsible for Choo-Choo Charles's success. So I'm just going to leave it there and only call him B. Moving on to the next game. This one is not released yet. I only just heard about this recently on Reddit. It's literally called A Game About Digging a Hole. I wanted to include it because I saw it was getting some really good numbers behind it on social media. A lot of people just thought it was really popular. They made a nice case study about how they essentially went viral, just making this game about digging a hole. It's a minimalist game about digging a hole. Like, this would not be a super complicated game to make. It looks beautiful. I love this art style, and it is very cohesive. And, you know, it is just something that's super simple here. Like, the game speaks for itself. It's called A Game About Digging a Hole. We have the price for this game here as well. So let's see. This game costs. Oh no, we don't have the price for this game because obviously it's not released yet. We don't know. This game might not do well, but just based off the numbers I saw, they have a publisher. So it seems likely that this game is going to see some success. It would be interesting to come by later and see how well it does. So we don't actually have any numbers for it yet. We only have some notes that I've added here. So why is A Game About Digging a Hole likely to do well? Honestly, I'm going to add a new one here just because I think it has a very unique concept. It's such a unique concept that they can literally just call it A Game About Digging a Hole. And, you know, it kind of does get away with it. We could also say it's a little bit atmospheric, I suppose. I think a unique concept is okay, but if it doesn't also look good, then it's probably not going to be enough to make it fully stand apart. So it might be atmospheric. Actually, maybe not atmospheric, but maybe art style. Let's put it there. So I feel like if it has a unique concept, it has to also at least fill one other box in order for it to really stand out. So it looks nice. It has a unique concept. It's sandboxy as well. I don't know if we should include that as another column. I'm just gonna leave that out for now. But I'll keep that in there. Okay. Next up, we have Twisted Tower. So you might have heard of this game before. This is again a game that's not released. But it is a game by Thomas Brush, who has a very successful YouTube channel. So if you've seen any of his game dev videos, you've no doubtedly seen him talking about this game. I do think it looks like a really great game. I think I would love to play it. It gives me the very strong BioShock vibes. So it's atmospheric. You know, it has that nice story. It has a nice art direction behind it. But I feel like the main thing that stands out for me for this game, and while I feel it will do well, is because it is building off of something that's already popular, which in this case is BioShock. And again, here's the Steam page for BioShock. Surprisingly, they don't actually have a video on here. But just looking at this, you know, you go back and you look how this Twisted Tower graphics, like you can see it not only does it have a similar art direction, but it has a very similar feel in terms of like these crazy people coming to kill you, I guess. So yeah, we don't have again reviews or anything that's not released yet, but we are going to take this here and we're going to put it in under building off something popular, probably art in this case, and also probably it's also atmospheric. So those are my assumptions here. And with that, we'll go on to the next game, which is Squirrel with a Gun. Okay, this one is, again, we're going to be looking at a game with an animal protagonist. That's fantastic. It's just so crazy, this game. again, I don't have time to play games as much as I used to. I like every game on this list. If I haven't played it, I'd really want to, and this is definitely one of them up there. I mean, it's definitely more violent than Untitled Goose Game. And obviously they are still like live opping this game. They're still coming out with new content. I haven't even seen this previous trailer before. Look at it. You're a squirrel and you have a gun. Bizarre concept. It said right there in the trailer, you know. So it hasn't been out for as long, right? It only came out in August, so obviously it's not going to have made as much money as some of these other games. But that being said, obviously it also still has made money. So let's see. Based off its reviews when I calculated all this. Oop, wrong thing. But yeah, it has made roughly $2 million so far in revenue. 600,000 take home. Not bad numbers. And we're going to copy this over here. Let's start locking this top row. There we go. Top row is locked. It definitely has a unique concept. It has an animal protagonist. It has a nice art direction too. I think it has a story. I haven't played it, but I don't feel like the story is going to be the main selling point of this game. I feel like the main selling point of this game is going to be the fact that you're playing as a squirrel who, you know, has a gun. It's not building off something popular. I wouldn't give it atmospheric, but again, it is this unique concept thing. Just like digging a hole, it also is matched up with both art and it has an animal protagonist. So again, if you can have that really unique concept in here, I feel like this one here is the gold star right now. Like the unique concept one is just really, really nice if you can get that. Very hard to do, but it's great. Slope Crashers, I saw this one on Reddit. Again, animal protagonist game. Love these games with animals in them. They seem to do very well. It doesn't have, this is actually probably the one that has the least success so far, but it's also like very new. It was released December 2024. It has 68 reviews already, very positive. Yeah, it's like a snowboarding game where you're playing as animals and you're snowboarding. I did read that this is a single developer game, which actually is quite crazy because the looks of this game, the beauty of it, just everything in it, it kind of, if you're looking at this, personally, I would feel that this was made by more than one person. But nope, this is a one-person developed game. You know, snowboarding on its own is probably not that unique a concept, so I would be hesitant to put that under there. We'll also just say that this was, okay, so $31,000 revenue, 9,000 take home. So I'm not really going to give this unique concept because snowboarding is not a unique concept, but it does have an animal protagonist. So we're going to put that over here. It does have a nice art direction as well. I'm just going to leave it at these two. I really want to know if this game ends up doing a lot better and keeps getting reviews. But at least for now, you know, that's the difference between, in my opinion anyway, Squirrel with a gun and this one. Like, this one checks 2 of the boxes, but Squirrel and the gun checks 3. And maybe that's why Squirrel with a gun stands out a bit more. Feel free to agree or disagree. Drop me a comment. Tell me I'm crazy. Okay, next one, Teeto. This is, again, one I've seen on Reddit. And again, it's one that's not released. It's very cute. It's a 3D platformer. You're playing as this little blob dude, and he basically takes on elements of things around him. I get, like, It Takes Two vibes from this game. I understand it is cooperative. I don't know in what way how it is cooperative, but it's like, I'm a huge 3D and 2D platformer fan myself, so this is definitely something I would enjoy playing. I know the guy's toddler basically voiced Teeto, so again, getting the family involved in this. The reason that I feel like this game is going to do well, regardless of anything else, though, is actually a bit different from the other reasons. Because it has really, really good marketing behind it. I might just pop over to Reddit to do a quick check on here so it can show you what I'm talking about. And I may also just add another column in here, just say good marketing. And we're gonna go ahead and pop Teeto down into here and expand that out. Yeah, the art is also, it has a bit of a interesting, nice art style as well, so I'll add it into there. Possibly a unique concept. I mean, 3D platformer, you're taking on the elements. It's kind of unique-ish. I don't know if it's the most unique. Other ones we'll have to see. I'm very hesitant whether I want to give it the unique concept or not. But let's just go over to Reddit for a second. Okay, so here we are. I've just searched out Teeto on the indie game subreddit. And, like, look at the number of things that come up here for this guy. By the way, I'm using old Reddit because the new interface on desktop is awful, and I hate it. But if we go over to this guy's profile as well, this is the developer. Like, he has just submitted it to so many places. You can see the upvotes he gets. He has, like, such a community behind this game. I know there was one really viral post he had in here where he actually made a scene in the game where he proposed to his girlfriend, and that got like thousands and thousands of upvotes. So I can imagine that his wish lists are crazy high just by these numbers. So again, that's kind of why I feel like this is a 3D platformer that's going to do well, just because of how much marketing this guy has put behind it. So, you know, kudos to him. He's doing the marketing right. He's building a community, and I hope he sees the benefits from that game. It does look fun. And if you're watching this video, if you're the dev, you know, I'd love to play Teeto because it looks super fun. Okay, moving on, we'll go to Viewfinder, which is the next game here. Let's take a look at Viewfinder. You may have, again, seen this game because it, again, did go crazy viral. This definitely is one of those unique concept games. Like, you're taking pictures and then you're using it to solve puzzles. I'll just let the trailer run for a bit here so you can get the idea of what's going on. Like, I don't even know how they would have programmed this. It's so bizarre. It's just such an interesting, unique idea. 7,000 very positive reviews. It's been out since July 2023, so actually a little longer than I thought. I didn't think it was released that long ago. Yeah, it's just such an amazing looking game. It's definitely atmospheric. This one checks a lot of the boxes, honestly. But let's see. 7,000 reviews. 8 million estimated revenue. 2 million take home. Isn't it crazy how much cut Steam gets? It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I even made a comment. I was wondering how this game was coded. Very true. So, yes, absolutely. Viewfinder, unique concept. Definitely goes there. I feel like they probably had good marketing behind it, too. I know it went viral, so there is that luck chance in there, I guess. But if you have a unique enough concept, like, other gaming outlets will, like, just pick up on it because it does stand out so much. So, you know, we could put it there for marketing. Art, yes. Animal, protagonist, making decisions, story, lore, maybe story? I don't know. I think this is more about the puzzles. So again, the puzzles were just going to be like under unique concept and atmospheric. So, you know, great job, Viewfinder. You've hit a lot of those boxes here. Okay. Next. Oh, here, this is, okay, so finally we've reached a game on the list that I actually have and I'm actually playing through. It's the Plucky Squire. I think I saw this pop up on Facebook originally. If you haven't seen this game, we have one of these like live. Oh, the developer's playing their own game. Cool. This is a game where you like phase in and out of 2D, 3D. The art is really cool. But if you see, like, we have this little 2D storybook. It's so cute. It's so atmospheric. And then at some point in the trailer, he's just gonna like jump out. Yeah. So there we go. There we go. He just becomes 3D, and now he's in this world, and you're jumping between 2D and 3D to play the game. Again, checks a lot of the boxes. It's only been out since September 2024. We're going to go back here and see that it has done about $2.4 million, 700 take home. Very unique concept. Yeah, definitely. It has that unique concept going for it. Again, because I saw this like popping up on Facebook and other people were covering it. Good marketing. It has the art. It has, yeah, it's atmospheric as well. Is it? Maybe it's, okay, I'll leave atmospheric out. It does have a nice story though. I mean, you're literally playing as a character in a storybook, so you're gonna have to hope that a game like that has a nice story behind it. I am playing through this one, so I can say it does. I'm actually really surprised it hasn't been more successful, but maybe that's because 2D and 3D platformers are a really hard genre to market and find success under on Steam. So for a 2D, 3D platformer, even one that combines both, this might actually be like really good numbers. Screenbound. Okay, this is another game that pops between 2D and 3D. So if we take a look, this is another game that's kind of gone viral. It has a unique concept. And it is kind of like that 2D, 3D platformer vibe. Yeah, you're basically like playing on this device, and you kind of things you do on it interact with the 3D world, and things you do in the 3D world interact with the 2D one. I believe like he's carrying a balloon here, and it's actually making him float in the 3D world. So definitely it has that unique concept thing going for it again. Not released yet, so we don't know the numbers, but probably will see some success just because it does have a unique concept. So no surprise, a lot of these games on here, you know, they have a very unique concept. Again, it has the marketing behind it. It has art. It has art cohesion. I'm not gonna say that the art just screams out at me too much. It's cute, but it does have some art. We could say it has good marketing as well. I wonder if some of these other ones here. Okay, there we go. I just rejigged a couple of these. I also added Untitled, Goose Game, and Papers, Please to be having a unique concept because I think they do. I'm still just going to leave Choo-Choo Charles under build something off something popular, though. Like, it did a really, really good job of that. But, like, a horror, you know, it's kind of unique in the sense that you're running from a spider train, but also a horror game, you're running from something that's typically what you do in a horror game, so it's not that unique a concept. It just did this one so well, building off of something that was already viral and popular. Like, I feel like this one just stands out so much for that sole reason. Yeah, looking pretty good. Going on to the next game. Little Kitty, Big City. So, this is a very sandboxy game. We are playing as a cat over here. You know what? I should make this full screen. Oh, I can't see my tabs. So let's not make it full screen. So again, animal protagonist game, very similar vibes to Untitled Goose Game. We can see in here like it has art, it has atmosphere, it has that sandbox feel. Look at the characters, the people. They look so similar to Untitled Goose Game. It came out after Untitled Goose Game. I feel like maybe the developers actually did kind of build off of Untitled Goose Game just because of how similar it does look. So, you know, they're taking something that's already been successful and building off of it. So I almost kind of do want to add that one there under that category. Little Kitty, Big City, $8 million, take home 2.4. And yeah, I did mention it has a similar vibe to Untitled Goose Game in my comments. So yeah, for this one here, I feel like I'm going to say builds off something popular, which ironically in this case was Untitled Goose Game because Untitled Goose Game did come out before and it sort of created that popularity, if that makes sense. Unique concept. Yeah, kind of. I think again, does stand out for that reason. Art. Yeah. Animal protagonist. And atmospheric? I don't think atmospheric, but these ones at least. And again, the animal protagonist. Like, we have a few of these games in here right now. Okay, next up we have Cuphead, which is probably one of the biggest games on this list, at least in terms of the developers behind it. If you haven't seen it, the art style, like I can just say it right here, it is the art style. It's a 2D platformer. 2D platformers, as you may have heard, are notoriously hard to market, so you really do have to have something amazing with the art to make it stand out. So, you know, this could be a unique concept just for having a very unique art style. I'm not going to say it's a unique concept because when it comes down to it, it is a 2D platformer. There are, you know, 2D platformers are 2D platformers. I love them. I'm making one, but, you know, again, it's notoriously hard to market. So here's an example of one that just does it insanely well, if for no other reason than just having such a unique art style behind it. It has probably done, estimated, $166 million in revenue. Absolutely crazy. Nearly 50 million take home. Studio MDHR is like in driving distance from my house as well, so love to go actually see what they're like. And yeah, also the music I mentioned in here, like it's all hand-drawn animations, characters, everything's hand-drawn. Definitely art, definitely atmosphere. It doesn't have an animal protagonist, but it has a cup protagonist, I guess. So we do have that in there. Yeah, it's just art and atmosphere is what ultimately makes this stand apart. Again, maybe the marketing too, but like the marketing is just sold it for itself for all the other features that it had. Stardew Valley. Maybe this game feels like it's too big to be included on this list. Probably don't need to show it because I'm sure almost everyone here has seen Stardew Valley. I've never actually played it. I don't have it. It's not really my type of game. But I might be in the absolute minority behind this. You know, what doesn't it have? It appeals to so many people out there. It's not, and ironically, it's not a unique concept, right? Even the developer himself, he wanted to build something that was inspired by Harvest Moon. So in this case, we could actually say, though, that, well, number one, reveal the numbers, $587 million, 173 million take home, and this is one guy, right? That's the dream. That is so far beyond the dream right there. That's like a haul for one single developer. He was making this project, Eric Baroni, he was making this project as a resume builder. And he didn't really have to build a resume after that because, you know, he can just do whatever he wants now. Good for him. He did what all of us want to do. So Stardew Valley builds off something popular. You know, it probably does have the atmosphere. I know it has great story lore. I've never played it. Making decisions, maybe. Ironically, not really a unique concept, but in this case, it didn't matter. And it's also had good marketing because, you know, when he was making this game, he would just like stream the development of it, and you got the community involved in it, telling what they wanted to see, from my understanding here. So, you know, it did tick a lot of the boxes. But in this case, this was another example, I think, of a game that, well, it really, I was going to say it was building off something popular, but I think it was the fact that he did so many of these things so right, and it was just what the world needed at that particular moment in time. Okay, going kind of the opposite direction, Pico Park. So you may have seen this game. You've probably likely you've played it or you've heard of it. Come on, get it to play here. So this game goes the opposite. Like, it doesn't have any harder graphics. It's like cooperative, chaotic fun. I guess it does have an animal protagonist. You're playing as cats. But like, this is kind of the game that gives me hope because I have no artistic ability. And even I'm looking at this game, I'm like, you know what? Even I could draw that. I could handle this game from an artistic standpoint. So it does kind of give that hope there. But it is very cohesive, even though there's like no crazy art behind it. It does all blend together, so it's all very cohesive. But again, this game really stands apart. It sells itself actually for probably a new reason we're going to have to add to the list. But first, we'll look at the numbers. $6 million, 1.8 million take home. That's great. There's literally no graphics, as I put in here. It's cooperative multiplayer fun, right? And I think that's kind of, there are obviously a lot of multiplayer party games, but almost all the multiplayer party games, you're working against each other. And I feel like that's one thing that you don't see very often. It's a multiplayer game where you're cooperative, and it's also for more than just two people. Okay, so let's put it here under co-op multiplayer, this new one, which also, it kind of is a unique concept only in the sense that you have this co-op multiplayer for like more than 2 people, which is kind of what makes it fun, in my opinion. Definitely not art. I find it hard to even give this one animal protagonist because, okay, you're playing as cats, but it is an animal protagonist. But I don't know. I don't think that's really what makes it stand apart in this case here. And you are kind of making decisions, I guess. It's not really the only game we've had in this so far is Papers, Please, but in this case, you're making decisions with other people. So it is there, but really this is the one that sets it apart for here. So let's go back, and we have 2 more games. The next one is Disco Elysium. I actually don't know very much about this game. This was recommended to me by a friend when I was looking at indie games to research. But from what I do understand about this game, this one is very much about the storytelling and the lore and how deep you get into this game.
Great city at the end of the world.
Final Cut 97. I feel like I should know more about this game to actually talk about. Okay, I finally figured out how to mute WhatsApp. Apologies for that, that was very annoying. Yeah, we'll go back here and we'll take a look at the numbers on it. $260 million. Oh, because, yeah, it's a $45 game. $76 million take home. What did I put on here? It's very largely driven by its story and dialogue, according to my friend who recommended this game. So again, definitely in the comments, feel free to leave notes if you want to add some more onto this one. I'm going to put this here under story lore. And also just by looking at it, it did seem very atmospheric and it has a nice art style as well. So we'll leave it in there for that one. This last one was also recommended to me by a friend, so I'm not super familiar with Undertale. But it does have it has kind of a unique concept in the sense that you're going through an RPG, but you like don't have to kill anyone. You can just like befriend them. So the graphics are simple. It's pixel. It's cohesive. It's overwhelmingly positive. So yeah, you can slay them or spare them, decide their fate. So it's a game about decision making. And yeah, let's see what we can do with this one here. So again, we'll look at the numbers. $117 million, 34 million take home. Lots of chances to make your own decisions, early decide your own fate type of game. So we'll take Undertale, and we'll put that here under making decisions. And then we will also say, I'm assuming it's going to have good story or lore in there. Again, feel free to chime in for these ones. These last two I'm a little less familiar with. And I guess it does kind of have that unique concept in here as well by the sounds of it. Okay, so the last thing that I did here was I just created a third page in this spreadsheet, and I converted everything here into just the names of the games, so it would be easier to put some charts together. And we put together some common trends for successful indie games charts. The number one thing that helps a game stand out is, not surprisingly, its art, followed by it having a unique concept. I think as indie games, we've often heard that in order for a game to be successful, it needs to have good art. But what we've also seen here is that's not always necessarily the case, although it definitely is the case the majority of the time. But especially if you can combine these two, having art and a unique concept, it definitely kind of just helps the game stand out. Coming in next, atmospheric. Atmospheric kind of goes hand in hand with art, but also good marketing. And then some of these other things that we just can see that I would call them maybe like the sprinkles on this cake. Having an animal protagonist, having good story and lore, and again, building off of something popular. These are also these things that are in there. I don't really know if we needed co-op multiplayer as its own category because it was really just for one game, but it was kind of interesting to have in there. I did try to deliberately look at games though that like were single player, so really this is not the best one to have in here, but it just does stand out because again, Pico Park really didn't have any art at all, right? It was just all about the multiplayer and playing with your friends in a cooperative manner. Similarly on the right over here, just a different way of visualizing it. We're looking at having a unique concept in art. They take up almost half the pie chart here. That and also good marketing. Well, it's the same data, just visualized a little bit differently. I'll put a link to this spreadsheet down in the video description, so you can definitely feel free to look through it on your own. And please let me know if you agree or if you disagree with any of this. Obviously, there's way more games that we could include, but do you just really think I got it wrong here? Do you think I've got it right? I'm really just kind of analyzing it from my own personal subjective point of view. So if you feel differently, I would love to know about that. Other than that, thank you for watching. I hope someone out there finds this information helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Do you like this type of video? I could happily do more things like this if this was valuable. So again, just thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.